Here we go. We are with some little lion cubs. Now, this is the Nkuhuma pride of cubs. There are 5 older ones, very similar in age, but from 2 different litters. And for the first time, the 3 smallest cub members were introduced to them on the sunrise safari. And there to the right, you can see the little one. A little bit to the left, Van. Is it? Oh, there it is. You can just see it moving through the bush. We're not getting too close because none of the females are here. So what's happened is they've left all the cubs together in a relatively inaccessible area, and they've gone off hunting. Something might have stumbled through to them, and they've gone off hunting and left all the cubs together. This is very normal behavior for lions, because cubs quite often ruin the hunt. So we've stopped quite far away from them, and we're just going to sit quietly. They quite often will come closer to us as they get curious, but what we're really hoping is that the females are going to return. Hey, little guys. So there are 8 cubs in total, although we can only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think if we move a little bit, we might be able to see all 8. Oh no, they're gonna crawl out to the open, the smallest ones. No, they're having a little bonding session behind the bush. I'm gonna move the car ever so slightly. And remember, we're on a live African safari. Send your questions through to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Isn't this just too exciting? I said we're going to keep a little bit of distance. Hi, Andrew. Andrew is from the Lansdowne Teachers Conference and is wondering what are some of the more rare animals we get to see on safari. Well, we have seen pangolin, which is a form of scaly anteater, serval, which is another type of wild cat. I'm just concentrating on driving. There we go. So it's very important when you're around animals, and specifically young animals, to drive very carefully and very considerately. We don't want them to have any negative connotations with the vehicles. So that's why I'm very measured and quiet when I move. Even though the car might sound loud, they are quite used to them. And we want to get them very used to them. There we go. There, the little ones at the back. Now, Caroline is wondering, do all 8 cubs belong to the same lioness? Not at all, Caroline. So we've got 3 different litters here. So the 5 older cubs are from 2 females. One female had 3 cubs, the other had 2. And then the 3 smallest, tiniest little ones, those are from a 3rd female. So there's 3 different litters. Now, lions generally produce between 2 and 4 cubs. They're the smallest ones, or 2 of them at least. There could be a 3rd, they could be in a lion pile. Now, normally in the wild, 2 to 4 cubs per lioness, but in the wild, the largest recorded ever litter was 6 little lions, but in captivity there have been over 10 recorded, but that is very abnormal. Hi, Eric. Now, Eric would like to know, what is the chances, or how many of these cubs will survive? Well, with the little lion cubs, they have about a 60 to 70% mortality rate. So more than likely, the majority of these cubs will not make it through to adulthood. And about 70% of all lion cub mortalities are not caused by other predators, like hyenas or leopards, but they are actually caused by other lions. Specifically, nomadic males or new pride males coming in. Here we go. We can see the age difference there. So the smallest ones are about 8 or 9 weeks old, and the bigger ones are about 16 weeks. Now, if the Nkuhuma pride, which is our dominant female pride, is lucky enough to raise the majority of these to adulthood, the pride will be looking very, very good, because as far as we know, we're not 100% sure yet, but there are only 2 or 3 young males, so the majority are females. And add to the 5 adult females already, that would put this pride at over 10 adult females, which is a really large pride for this part of the world. Now, of course, we're all hoping that they are successful in raising this lot of ruffians to adulthood, because it will be incredible to follow this pride as they become a much bigger pride and start taking down bigger prey. Hi, Sarah. Now, Sarah is wondering, what age do the lion cubs begin to eat meat? At about between 6 to 8 weeks, Sarah. So they're very, at a very early age, they're already on a meat diet, but obviously coupled with mother's milk. And they're weaned at around 6 months, and that's also when they lose their milk teeth and their adult teeth come through. But lions, being the only social cat, practice something that's quite incredible in the animal kingdom. It's called allo-suckling, which means, in this case, with 3 lionesses with cubs that are all still on milk, that all of those lionesses will happily suckle cubs that are not their own. So it is one of the benefits of being a social predator and having multiple lactating females at the same time. Now, there's some very interesting research that's being done at the moment to see if lion prides, or the females in the lion prides, coincide their estrus cycles to take advantage of allo-suckling. Now, of course, we've just mentioned that these little guys have about a 70% mortality rate, and Caroline is wondering, what are the predators of little lion cubs? As I said, 70% of the mortalities are due to other lions, but also hyena will play a role, leopard, in certain cases jackal, python have been known to eat little lion cubs as well, big snakes, even large birds of prey such as our martial eagle, which has got a wingspan of just under 9 feet, are capable of taking a little lion cub. And in extremely rare cases, a buffalo, if they smell a lion den or lion cub, will try stampede and step on the future harassers of them. Hey, little guys. Now, but we're having such a high mortality rate. They have a very short gestation period, only about 110 days. And if any of the cubs are lost, those females will almost immediately come back into estrus and start breeding to produce another litter. Well, we're going to sit quietly next to these little lions. Oh, let's just see what... Hello, cousin. Maybe the novelty of new cousins hasn't quite worn off yet. But while they go down to sleep for a little bit, we've got Stefan, who's out on bushwalk. We're still with the wonderful little Nkuhuma Cubs, and they are just too precious. So they're in a really good spot. The lionesses have chosen a wonderful place to leave them. So they are lying up on the edge of the drainage line. That's not uncommon. But just below them is a very deep little ravine that I think even most other predators would battle to get into. It's also covered by a massive fallen thorn tree. So a really good little hiding hole for the cubs. If they feel threatened or anything gives them a fright, they're going to immediately scuttle into that area. Now, what we're doing now, because the adult females are not here, and because of all the pandemonium from this morning, although it looks like those little ones have been completely accepted now, and so all the pandemonium from this morning, we are keeping this to a one-vehicle sighting, so we're not going to be able to stay too long, and we're going to leave them. If the females were here, it would be a very different story, and we're probably going to zone this area quite early unless the lionesses arrive. We want to give these little Nkuhumas the best chance of making it to adulthood. I've got a good feeling about these cubs. I think they're going to break the normal 70% mortality rate. So fingers crossed, send them all goodwill. And remember, this is live if anyone is new, and you can send questions through to me by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or send me an email, questions@WildEarthTV. Isn't this absolutely splendid? So incredibly special to have a little delve into these amazing animals. Now, we've talked about how high the mortality rates are for little lions, and Richard in British Columbia is saying, how risky is it for a lioness to defend her cubs against nomadic male lions? It's very risky, Richard, and the Nkuhuma Pride suffered that last year when defending those two young females and junior from the now dominant Birmingham boys. Three adult Nkuhuma lionesses and one of the sub-adult females were killed in that defense. So it is very risky, and it all depends on the exact situation. Sometimes the lionesses will even sacrifice the cubs so they can survive. Other times they will try fight to the death. But with nomadic or dispersal males coming in, it is an incredible risk. Brenda's wondering, do any of these cubs have the amber eye gene? Not that I've noticed. None of them actually belong to Amber Eyes herself, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a recessive gene that's carried in all the Nkuhuma females. I think we're going to have to wait for them to get a bit older before we can say for sure, Brenda. Okay, well, the lion cubs have settled down, all snoozing peacefully. We're going to have to leave shortly. Now, Lynn has proposed a very interesting question. Is it possible, if the Nkuhuma cubs and the Styx cubs, specifically the males, reached maturity, could they form a coalition? It is possible, but incredibly unlikely. Now, the main reason for that being, there are 6 Styx young males. So 6 of them together, there's no reason for them to take on any outside help. As far as I can see, there's only 2 young males in Nkuhumas, so they might join up with another single nomad or another 2 single nomads. But for the Styx young males, it makes absolutely no sense to take on anyone else when there's already 6 of you who know each other intimately. And that, if they do survive through to adulthood, is the potential for another monster Sabi Sands male lion coalition. Okay, well, the cubs are all snoozing, so we're going to sneak out and let them sleep away. Hopefully, we'll hear if the mothers and aunties come back later. What we're going to try to do is actually go have a look for the adult lionesses now. There's no tracks heading towards Buffels Hook, so I think they might have gone down towards the southeast. So fingers crossed, who knows? Maybe we'll find them on a kill. While we do that, let's go back to Steph, who's marching around on foot.